Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about Donald Trump signing the executive order to implement a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So if you've been watching my channel for any extended period of time, since basically December of 2017, you know that I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I believe that it is sound money, and it is something that I will be holding for a very long time and continue to hold. So I came out with this video on November 8th, 2024 called Is the USA Buying 1 Million Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? And it basically just goes through everything that's going on and what's proposed and the bill and how it works and how it could potentially be used to help fix the national debt. Well, let's fast forward to a couple weeks ago when a lot of things were coming out on X and also from Donald Trump's social media platform, where he's saying that he's going to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve. Okay, so everyone that saw this, that's been following this pretty closely, such as myself, they were gutted. They were absolutely disappointed because he was going to include, you know how I feel about altcoins, okay, things that aren't Bitcoin. They're mostly just speculative gambling tokens. So he talked about XRP, SOL, ADA. Again, I'm not going to talk about these things specifically, but they're going to be placed in a separate strategic stockpile which has fewer privileges than the coins in the reserve. So retail got rugged. This is because Eric Trump on March 2nd was tweeting, I love the genius of announcing a strategic reserve on Sunday, yada, yada, yada. Basically, everyone gets rug pulled, right? So everyone was devastated. Even you have people that run these, altcoin casinos, such as Coinbase, like Brian Armstrong, for example, saying that just Bitcoin would probably be the best option for the Bitcoin strategic reserve. If folks wanted more variety, you can do a market cap weighted index of crypto assets, et cetera, et cetera. And then even Peter Schiff, who, if you guys have been following him for years, has been anti-Bitcoin, even though I secretly think he's been buying Bitcoin this whole time. He just has to keep up that narrative of being a gold bug and an anti-Bitcoiner. But he basically said, I get the rationale for a Bitcoin reserve. I don't agree with it, but I get it. We have a gold reserve. Bitcoin is digital gold, which is better than analog gold. So let's create a Bitcoin reserve too, but what's the rationale for an XRP reserve? Why the hell would we need that? Which I completely agree with, and so do many others. Remember, this is all March 2nd. Okay, this was about a week ago. Now, fast forward, this is what ends up actually happening. So I've tweeted this January 3rd, 2025, okay, about 2 months ago. And I basically said the U.S. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve probability, nothing burger, meaning that nothing's really going to come out of it. Nothing's going to change at all. The coins are going to stay with the Department of Justice. They're not going to move to the Treasury, and they're definitely not going to implement the Cynthia Lummis bill, which my video was about on November 8th, this video right here. So I gave that 25%. The second scenario was 213,000 Bitcoin are going to move from the Department of Justice to the U.S. Treasury. I gave that 60%. And then 3, implemented as currently proposed, 15%, right? That's the Cynthia Lummis bill. Well, guess what actually ended up happening? Ding, ding, ding. Number 2. So this is the fact sheet from the White House. This is whitehouse.gov. President Donald J. Trump establishes the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and U.S. Digital Asset Stockpile. March 6th, 2025. This was last night, you guys. So he's actually, at the time of this recording, right now I'm recording this at about 1:45 Eastern Standard Time. They're actually having that meeting right now. But let's go through this point by point so you guys actually understand what's being discussed. Because a lot of people, especially with social media, they just read headlines, okay? They read headlines, they get enamored, they're either super bullish, super bearish, but they don't actually read the thing. So let's take just 2 minutes to actually go through some of these highlighted points, which I highlighted here in orange. So today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve and a U.S. digital asset stockpile. Remember, these are two different things, okay? One is Bitcoin strategic reserve, the other is whatever you want to call the crap coin digital asset stockpile, okay? So let's go through the fact points, or the checkpoints here. The order creates a strategic Bitcoin reserve that will treat Bitcoin as a reserve asset. The strategic Bitcoin reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the Department of the Treasury that was forfeited as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings, okay? Other agencies will evaluate their legal authority to transfer any Bitcoin owned by those agencies to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The United States will not sell Bitcoin deposited into the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Okay, so they're hodling, okay? They're holding. which will be maintained as a store of reserve assets. The Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce, by the way, who both own a bunch of Bitcoin. The Treasury of Commerce owns hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. He said it himself publicly. Are authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, provided that those strategies impose no incremental costs on American taxpayers. Remember, budget-neutral strategies. We'll get into that later in this video. It also establishes a U.S. digital asset stockpile, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to talk about that. Don't care about that. But let's talk about this. This was the part of this whole fact sheet that I couldn't believe. Okay, you can tell whoever is advising Trump on this, or the team that's advising him on this. These bullet points are basically what Bitcoiners have been saying since 2009. Okay, so check this out. Bitcoin, the original cryptocurrency, is referred to as digital gold because of its scarcity and security having never been hacked. With a fixed supply of 21 million coins, there's a strategic advantage to being among the first nations to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So we've been talking about game theory for over a decade now, okay? Game theory is basically forcing your opponent into doing something else by you moving first or being a first mover. And it basically says, hey, let's use a geopolitical example here. Say Iran buys Bitcoin. They've been stacking Bitcoin for years ahead of the United States, right? Well, then United States is forced to become second, right? And they're not only becoming second, since there's only a limited supply of 21 million, we're pumping Iran's Bitcoin bag by doing so, right? So it's almost like first mover advantage in this case. So with a fixed supply of 21 million coins, there's a strategic advantage to being among the first nations to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The United States currently holds a significant amount of Bitcoin, but has not maximized its strategic position as a unique store of value in the global financial system. Premature sales of Bitcoin have already cost U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion, okay? Don't do what Germany did just a few months ago, okay? They sold their Bitcoin, I forgot for how much, like 40, 50, 60 grand, then it went to 109, okay? So this is what they're saying by this. Currently, no clear policy exists for managing these assets, leading to a lack of accountability and inadequate exploration of options to centralize, secure, or maximize their value, and then proper oversight, accurate tracking, and a cohesive approach to managing the government's cryptocurrency holdings. This move harnesses the power of digital assets for national prosperity rather than letting them languish in limbo, okay? This is all important, you guys. This is important because it's showing that they're taking this very strategically and seriously, and it's become a asset worthy of being deemed as a strategic reservable asset, okay? Right now, if you go look at my old video, we have cheese reserves, oil reserves, a bunch of different types of reserves, okay? And by adding Bitcoin to that basket, the United States is signaling to the rest of the world, hey, this is what we think about this asset class. What about you, right? So with all that being said, I got two more things that I want to tell you about. This is pretty well said. It's pretty long, but it's worth reading. So this is Samson Mao. Some Bitcoiners are saying the strategic Bitcoin reserve doesn't do anything because it just seized assets and they're not buying any, okay? Well, there will be buying. There are a number of budget-neutral ways to acquire Bitcoin, such as issuing Bitcoin bonds or selling gold. Give it some time. Howard Lutnick will get it done, okay? He owns hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and he's the former chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, okay? That tells you what time it is, you guys. Next, the significance of the strategic Bitcoin creation is immense. The ETFs legitimize Bitcoin as an asset class and open the door for institutional investments. I have a text message with another large YouTuber. He's a good friend of mine, and he called the Bitcoin ETFs kind of a sell the news event, okay? And I just replied to him like, no way, this is the financialization of Bitcoin. And I think at the time, that was like January 8th of 2024. Bitcoin was like 40, 50 grand, if that. And that's because the ETFs already got approved. Now, it was at 109. Now we're sitting at, 88 at the time of this recording. So, yeah, I don't think this is a sell the news event, you guys. So today, with the stroke of a pen, the President of the United States has equivocated Bitcoin with gold. Remember, gold has been a store of value for 5,000 years, okay? Bitcoin has been around since 2009. The strategic Bitcoin reserve is a digital Fort Knox. Let that sink in. The real race for nation-state Bitcoin adoption really begins. The SBR also means that we'll finally get an official audit for how much Bitcoin the U.S. actually has. Every figure we have now is simply an estimate, and we know the U.S. Marshals have been selling off Bitcoin for the last few years. It is likely the U.S. has 112,000 Bitcoin or less because 95K belongs to Bitfinex and will be returned. It does not have the 207 to 220 Bitcoin number that many news sites usually go with. This would put China in the pole position with 194,000 Bitcoin. Again, going back to game theory, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, etc., etc. Now you can imagine why that won't be acceptable. With Bitcoin being deemed as strategic, the U.S. will want to have the most. There will definitely be an audit of the supply and then adding to it. Competition is good for Bitcoin. Plan accordingly. So if you look at Bitcoin holdings by country, we have China at 194,000, United States at about 112, maybe a little bit less, UK at 61,000, Ukraine at 46,000, and then we have El Salvador who's been buying pretty much every day for years. Finland, Bhutan has been mining. They've been using their excessive energy reserves to do that and pay public servants with that money. So yeah, the game theory race is on. So there are budget neutral strategies for acquiring Bitcoin other than stealing it, okay? By stealing it, he means confiscating it from, bad actors, okay? You can sell other assets to buy Bitcoins. You can sell gold. You can issue zero interest bit bonds. You can cut wasteful spending. So everything that Elon Musk and Doge is doing, Department of Government Efficiency, you can cut certain, excessive bloat, bureaucratic bloat, and then use it to buy Bitcoin. Will they do that? Who the hell knows? All I know is that this is ridiculously bullish, okay? You have to realize, you guys, when we're in, I've been through multiple bear markets now, okay? I've been buying Bitcoin since late 2017, early 2018. I've seen it all. I've bought at 64, I bought at 16, I bought at 35, I bought at 109,000, okay? I bought all over the place. I just dollar cost average. But here's the thing, you guys. This is being legitimized, and it's being legitimized by one of the greatest countries in the world, definitely the greatest economic country in the world. And then this country has a lot of influence, especially with the current U.S. dollars and the U.S. dollar dominance. So what's going to happen to U.S. dollars? Probably nothing. They can coexist, but the game theory race is on. If this video was helpful, please share it with a friend who's interested about this. And if you aren't paying attention to my channel, have fun staying poor. Just kidding, but not really. Have a prosperous day. Peace. Okay, should I just start chugging this bottle? Just kidding. It's Lent. No alcohol, okay? No meat, no fish. Relax.